Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. We have a really fun animated GIF from Erwin. Erwin lives in the Netherlands. It's crazy, this channel, in its rankings of viewership, the fourth country in terms of viewers is the Netherlands. And I just really wonder, it's not a large country. I know they have a huge fan base of not only cryptocurrency but XRP, probably because of Weezy Win. But I just find it so amazing that that country has such a strong presence in this space. Anyway, Erwin got inspired, he told me, from a story that I did a few months back where Mr. Kitao was on the cover of a magazine, and it's called Super CEO, and he did a jump, and they caught that jump in midair. And it was at that time he saw that picture that he was inspired to do some of these GIFs on his mobile app. And I think they're really, really fun. Anyway, the first story I have for you is Mr. Kitao, because I was taken by surprise. Oh, I just want to let everyone know that is the Shoeshine Kid. And that's Erwin behind that username on Twitter doing these fun gifts. Anyway, there is a story that everybody was talking about yesterday, and that is when Mr. Kitao made it public that he had resigned from the Japan Virtual Exchange Association. And this is an association that has 12 directors. They've had some directors from the inside and some directors from the outside. He's had this position. This is the second time he has been given this position. It's a brand new association. They're basically a self-regulatory body that is giving some distance between the Financial Service Association, which is like the SEC here in Japan, that falls under the Ministry of Finance, and they're really tough. They are really, really tough, and they hand out the licenses to be regulated to operate, and they also hand out those work orders that when you have to do improvements. So they do on-site inspections that are unannounced, and yeah, it's not a scary body, governmental body, but they are strict, and if they say jump, you jump. So this association is kind of a buffer. They promote, they support, they cooperate, they educate. They basically develop policies and procedures so that they take a proactive approach before the FSA tells them to do something. And I think it's great. And they also, I think, have been an inspiration to the rest of the world. And I'll show you why in this video from a story that's going to follow. But when the resignation happened, I didn't think much of it because it's a non-paid position. I didn't think Mr. Kitao needed this for any power or ego. That's not the kind of guy he is. And I thought, well, he's busy. He just got an advisory position in China to their blockchain association. That was huge. It's the first time that somebody from the outside actually got in for that position. And then he, of course, is the new director on the board for Ripple. And I just thought, wow, he's going to give it an open space for someone to rotate in, and he's a busy guy. So I just didn't think it was any big deal. However, I woke up this morning, and in Japan, there are a lot of stories. This is one from the Cointelegraph Japan. The Cointelegraph has the Korean edition, the Japanese edition, the American edition, and those stories don't cross over. So you might not have seen this. Well, it was back in June that Mr. Kitao made it very clear that he wanted to have the majority of directors that sit on that association to be from the outside. He wanted the outsiders to be the majority. And in this new changing of the directors, because they do this change every year, in the recent change, it was the same result, 6-6, 6 inside, 6 outside. And 1 week later, Mr. Kitao resigned. And there is another article that is talking about this from the Nikkei. The Nikkei is extremely reliable. They are like the Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, and New York Times all in one. You don't have to say, oh, I don't like the New York Times because they're too far left. They're not left. The Nikkei is a business magazine, and my point is that they are usually correct. they don't speculate. They're very careful at what they write, and they're very careful. So I think they make few mistakes. And they said that Mr. Kitao has declined to comment. And I don't think he needs to comment. I think his actions speak louder than words. And I talked to somebody today who's Japanese, and he knows the type of man Mr. Kitao is. And he says, yeah, of course, he's a master of the Chinese classics. And I said, yeah, I know that. And he said, well, he did exactly what Confucius teaches to do. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, do a little research, look it up. So I did, and I found that in the teachings of Confucius, there is a part where you basically are going to sacrifice yourself or your position for the betterment of the whole. And I think this is exactly what Mr. Kitao has done. He has given up his status, his position, his power, his voice to allow, or to again try to get what he wanted back in June, to get the association to put an outside member in his place so that the majority from the outside can be achieved. You can call it a way of Confucianism. You can call it a strategic monster play. I don't know exactly, but I find it fascinating as well because, Mr. Kitao is quite the tiger. All right, I am going to show you, though, how that association in Japan has really had an impact in the rest of the world, because we've got a story that just came out today. It was released by the V20. This is a Memorandum of Understanding by VASP. And remember, I said that we would probably hear this acronym a lot. This is the VASP, which stands for the Virtual Asset Service Providers. Those are the exchanges like Circle and Coinbase, and who else was there? Hyobi. There were a lot of people that are from within that are connected to the exchanges that are creating this body, and they established an association. Woohoo! They are going to provide that global unified voice, and they will promote, support, cooperate, educate, and develop policies and procedures. So I am really happy to see this, and I think it's going to be, again, another powerful voice as a collective whole. And boy, we are seeing history in the making. All right. I am also going to talk about Marjan Dellatinne again. She has really been a voice for Ripple lately. And there was an interview, and XRP Research Center, I think, summed up the points from the interview a lot and very well. So this interview, his takeaways were Ripple is onboarding now 3 to 5 customers per week. This has gone up a little bit, and XRapid is being used by 20 financial institutions as of now. So we've gone from 10 to 15 that Mr. Garlinghouse said last month to now more than 20. Actually, the interview says more than 20. So that's like a 40% rise in XRapid users within 30 days. I would say that is a really, really good sign. Also, banks are changing their view on crypto. Well, we know that. And we know that mainly because of Libra, right? The Libra effect, that's one of the reasons. And I think also because of the SMEs that are getting service, the small to medium-sized enterprises, they're getting now their banking services from these payment transfer companies that are just popping up everywhere all over the globe, and they are able to use XRP without the same hesitation that the banks have had in the past. So this is, this isn't, we're really, really now in a phase where banks are really having no choice but to change quickly in order for their survival. And I think they will survive. They are just going to really have a transformation. We're going to see this metamorphose into something that I don't know. As I said, I think in 5 years, we won't even recognize it. We'll look back and we'll say, wow, I can't believe how much it's changed. And the fourth takeaway is Ripple and Swift are complementary. So Marjan Dellatinne has been with Ripple for a couple of years now, but she was with Swift for 10 years. So she really knows both companies. And it leads me to believe that the banks are going to have the choice within that GPI to choose whether or not they want to use the execution of XRP once we get past the regulation to do their cross-border remittances. So I think it's going to be that suite of choices. And there's a lot of articles out there to kind of back up my speculation. We don't have any real firm, exact rollout of this to be happening, but we do have a lot of articles that talk about the two companies are starting to think about working together. So the fifth one is Facebook is not working with financial system, and we are, meaning Marjan Dellatinne was saying that we are part of the financial system. Facebook is not. So again, people who say that Facebook Libra coin is going to be a killer of Ripple or XRP, they're again comparing apples to oranges. All right, moving along, and I just want to tell you, yeah, I know a lot of you are thinking, as I said, well, we've got this huge increase of XRapid users. What about the price, Eddie? Well, I want you to go listen to Matt Hamilton address that very question in this interview that came out today by, well, about 18 hours ago by Box Live TV. He was asked that very question, and I think he had a very good answer. So I'm going to put a link to Matt's interview down in the description below. And okay, this is fun. Okay, this is Japan, and this is fun because it's about a project that started back in August of 2018, and just basically through word of mouth, there is a company called Ginkan that created a coin called Synchro Coin, and they just basically got it off the ground in August with 21 restaurants out of the Tokyo Plaza in Ginza. That's a kind of core high-end shopping area of Tokyo. And it is the world's first gourmet social network. Now, what it does is it leverages blockchain and AI. And now, here we are today, where there are over 190,000 reviews, and the number of downloads has exceeded 100,000. And this is here's where it comes, the interesting part. It's a trust score of viewers. So the reviewers get scored. They are scored by how well they do their reviews. So, you can't always believe reviews, right? You can read these testimonials and you're like, yeah, well, I don't know who that person is and how credible they are in their review. But so this is a platform where the actual reviewer has a trust score. And so it's getting away from those fake reviews or reviews that you don't really believe because the person who reviewed it is not qualified. It's also based on an advertising model, so we know that the advertising model works always, and it's organically grown to this amount by basically word of mouth. The coin itself is very, 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 very cheap. It's like 0.00004, but it might have some real promise. In 2020, they are going to launch a prepaid card so that when you do the reviews and you get this good trusted score of being a reviewer, you were then compensated back in coins. And then if you have a prepaid card, you can actually use your card to spend money by going out and eating for free. Yeah, it's great. I think it's a great concept. I like it. I like it a lot. And yeah, I don't own it. I don't know too much about it, but they just a couple of weeks ago won the Startup Award here. And this is an awards that was put out by, if I remember right, was it put out by the Nikkei? So that's that media outlet I told you that's so reputable. They put together this fintech conference, and okay, so Synchro Life, they won second place. I got it. They won second place. Yeah, very good. Very, very good. And you can see the website. So here's their downloads. Here's their user ratings. They have 170,000 reviews and 430,000 photographs already. Wow. I'm impressed. I'm just very impressed. I'm impressed with the growth, and I'm impressed with the business model. No, I'm not telling you to go buy it. I'm just telling you I'm impressed. All right. So I'm jumping to the fluff, everybody. We're going to talk about food. And yeah, this is the Michelin guide. Now, I'm going to kind of metamorphose into some Japanese manners, because I'm going to stick with that theme in one way or another on many of these fluff editions to go forward, because I think it's kind of fun and interesting, because the manners are so different here in Japan. So the guide, which started in France in 1939, is published every year, and this book is coveted. And to get a star is pretty life-changing for restaurants who get them. If you get 1 star, you're considered to be rated good. 2 stars is excellent. 3 stars is exceptional. The Michelin reviewers, or inspectors as they're called, they are anonymous, and they never reveal themselves, and they're not even allowed to talk to journalists. So sometimes they are mothers, sometimes they are professionals and non-professionals. So you never know who they are, and they are never revealed. So when we look at the restaurants in the world, of course, it's not hard to find expensive restaurants. And of the top 50 restaurants in the world, do you know Spain has the top 20? Not within the Michelin guide, but just in terms of considered top restaurants. That's pretty impressive. But when we talk about Michelin guide, I want to show you, I'm not bragging, but I'm bragging a little bit. I want to show you that in Japan, in terms of 3-star Michelin restaurants, Japan is at the top. Japan has 29, followed by France, followed by the United States, and then Spain, respectively. And if you combine all of the Michelin restaurants in Tokyo, there I am over. I know. I'm sorry. I got a complaint that I'm always in the wrong spot. I'm sorry. And no, I can't close my window down. I'm on Loom, and it doesn't allow me to do that. There are 276 Michelin restaurants in Tokyo, or no, in Tokyo. In Tokyo. Tokyo has more Michelin restaurants than New York, Paris, and London combined. Can you believe that? This is really a paradise or a heaven for foodies. And anyway, I just want to then kind of go now into some manners. So if you're at a really good restaurant, actually, even if you're in a izakaya, they call them, which is a neighborhood restaurant that's family run, I think there are some manners that you should know, because I was going to show you. Okay, gosh darn it. I'm really out of whack today. I'm just going to go with it, though. I'm so sorry. When you come to Tokyo and you go to Midtown in Hibiya, you can go to a Michelin restaurant on the cheap here in Tokyo. And I think that's important, because you can go and spend tons of money in some of those 200 plus restaurants in Tokyo. But if you want to go with a Michelin star rating here in Tokyo for under 3,000 yen, which is under $30, you can do it. It actually can be done. This is a branch out of Hong Kong. They are dim sum specialists, and they have been in Hong Kong. They have received their Michelin star award for 9 years consecutively. That's huge. You know, once you get a star, it's great, but to keep that star is the biggest challenge. And Chef Mak Kwa Pui, let me show you pictures of them. I want to show you 2 pictures of them. And Chef Luing Fai Kwang, they are a great team because the chef, Mr. Pui, he was a 3-star Michelin chef at the Four Seasons in Hong Kong, but he partnered up with Mr. Kwang, and he is a believer that everybody should deserve to eat authentic, best tasting food at the most reasonable price. So this is where they came up with this Chinese restaurant in Tokyo, in the Hibiya. I'll put a link to it in the description below. So if you come to Tokyo and you want to experience Michelin quality, you can do it here for less than, you could probably do it for about $25 a person. Yeah, and you will walk away thinking that's the best Chinese food you've ever had. Tim Ho Wan. Okay, now, if here is your manner. Wow, I just feel like I'm just going a little bit on a wacky side today. This is how you pour sake bottle, a beer bottle, and a wine bottle. You always pour with 2 hands, and you never pour your own. Now, if you're with friends and family, after you get going partying for a while, you can. But the first round, absolutely, you always pour somebody else's beer, sake, or wine, and you allow that person to pour yours. Never pour your own. That's just a no, 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 no. And then when you are being poured, you hold your glass with 2 hands. Okay? And I'll show you just one more picture. Here's a great picture. Here's a bottle of Asahi Super Dry. This is a great beer. And he's holding it properly with label up, and the person who is receiving the drink is holding the glass properly. Even a plastic cup. Yes, even a plastic cup. You want to do this with the correct, polite manner. And then the last picture I have to show you is how to kanpai. Kanpai is how to toast. If you are with somebody who is senior or is somebody you're trying to give respect to, it could be anybody who doesn't have to be older than you. You never toast with your glass above theirs or equal at the same level. You always touch gently and you go below their glass, always. All right, if you follow those 2 manners, wow, people will be impressed. All right, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.